And just like that, Mr. Schultz, we have reached another off season. Another season in the books. It is crazy.
Insane.
That's how you know we're getting old. I feel like I have these little like intro monologues when like a season starts and the season ends time and time again. And here we are, another off season with winter approaching. You got Kyle and myself today in studio. Jack's joining us remotely. Jack, wave to the folks at home. Say hello if you'd like.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. And great conversation today. We're going to talk about the World Series, of course. The Eagles are your 2024 champs. First time for them in 8 years, which is awesome. They did it in a sweeping manner. Talk about that amongst the three of us. Get Kyle's thoughts on the year, some highs, some lows, some new ideas that are looming for 25 in the future. And then we're going to wrap it up with an interview with Dallas Allen. So without further ado, let's jump into it. This is the Pipe It Up Podcast, and cue the intro. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up Podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. I am excited to be back in studio today. Got Kyle Schultz to my left as our special guest after another season in the books. And Jack is joining us on Zoom. Jack, hello. How are you?
Good to see you, Tom. It's been a while, man. I feel like we haven't connected at all.
I know. We're out of sync. We're out of tune.
It's crazy. This podcast actually almost ended up being another solo pod. So I'm glad that we were able to get the host back together as well as the commish.
Yeah, this is great. It feels right. I sat in this chair and I was like, it's good to be back in the studio. It's good to have the headphones on. Nice high quality audio. I'm happy to be here with Kyle. But Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long year. I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts. This is always a great time of like
reflection.
Yeah, reflection. It's almost like I have dress socks on, guys, for those video watchers, by the way. Don't mind the dress socks. Forgot other socks. But the week after the final upload is always like a massive exhale and moment of clarity, reflection. I'm sure you're feeling all those feelings, which are good feelings.
Exactly. I mean, crazy year, a lot of traveling, a lot of fun, a lot of editing, as always, and it definitely climaxed in a great way in AT&T Stadium. Eagles, man. First team to ever go 7-0 in the postseason. Shout out to all of them. Managed by Daniel Schultz very well. And huge congrats to the Eastern Eagles, man. First title since 2016.
Party like it's 2016?
Party like it's 2016.
How long have you had that line in the queue?
I had that in the queue. I don't know, like kind of when it was like about to be ending, I was just like, that's probably a good line to say.
Okay, I like that for sure.
You always need to have like one little thing, one little tagline you want to get off.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. I think most good announcers have something.
Last year I said I really liked my one for the Magic last year. I was like, do you believe in magic? Yeah. These 6 boys certainly do. And it was right on cue with the music too, which I liked. That was
good. Well, you can control the music a little
bit.
That's true. But you still said the right words live.
Yeah. So. No, but the response to the videos has been really good. I think it was a great improvement. We talked about this before, but just having fans on the field right up and close to that fence, both sides, first baseline, third baseline, behind the fence. Had Josh right next to my ear the entire series, which was awesome. It reminded me of you and Matt Carlington in the 2021 World Series, where it's just like, we're kind of just like chatting about the whole series, but I'm also commentating, but he was loving it. Just from the setup to the execution to cleanup, it was just a very smooth event. And honestly, if not top 2, it's up there for maybe one of the best MLW events we've done.
That's sick. That's awesome to hear.
How would you compare it, Kyle, to specifically the other World Series events that we've done in these NFL stadiums? How did it stack up to those? And I guess what things did you maybe improve on from last year?
Yeah. I'll start from the beginning. Ticket sales wise, it was very much more like direct. Like you're buying just a ticket to the MLW series. There's no Falcons tickets related or any like tie-in like that. So there's no like having to like sell tickets for a team that you're not going to be able to see because you're traveling back home. So that was convenient for most people. But in terms of Friday setup too, it was a lot quicker. The fence situation, we just had some pop-up fence banners, which worked really well, as opposed to the like PVC pipe fence that we've done in the past, which requires a lot of like setting up and like cutting zip ties and attaching things and making sure it's in the right spot. But this one was a lot quicker. I'm trying to think about other Friday night setup things. It was honestly, we like having the Friday night available was huge. Like there wasn't a guarantee. We kind of had to wait to see like a week up to that point to see if there's gonna be another event on the field, which there was a chance of being, but there wasn't. Ended up having that whole Friday night to set up. So we did that. We talked about Josh Young taking us over to Globe Life for a little tour that night. So that was kind of unexpected, but cool. But in terms of Saturday, also very smooth. The field looked great. I really like the aesthetic of having AT&T Stadium sign the background of all the thumbnails. Fans came in like an hour prior. We were selling merch. We had food later on in the day. And it was just a great all-encompassing event for the fans. We really try to pay mind to the fan experience. So having a bunch of videos on the video board, as always, that was a similarity to Atlanta last year, but I really liked having that, just having hype videos, having little like mini games in between, games 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. But one difference, Jack, is that last year, man, that best of 5 series went all 5 games. That was a long day. This was a sweep. So a big difference is that it just was like 2 or 3 hours less than last year. So a lot less time for me to keep my eye on people and make sure everything was running smooth. And it was just a quick series. Like the games were moving quick. It was a good pace of play and nothing dragged on like 8-9 innings. That could have really thrown a wrench in things. But honestly, there's probably more similarities than differences because last year was run really well, I thought. And this one was run really, really well as well.
Do you think, I know like the fans, last year's experience was a little bit different because they were off the field versus on the field, little nuances like that. But do you think fans who were there versus fans that watched it on YouTube, like was there any behind the scenes stuff you think they might have found interesting or cool that they got to experience if they were there, like the ticket buyers versus the online viewers?
I guess, yeah. Big difference I didn't really touch on too, but the aspect of having full-on tours involved with this experience. So that was included in your ticket package. You got a tour of the Cowboys locker room, the Cowboy cheerleaders locker room, and then the interview rooms, as well as both of the club areas that, go for probably thousands of dollars on an actual Cowboys game day, which you might otherwise never step inside those zones. So that was a huge experience that we wanted to capitalize and just Instagram promotion leading up to the event. And I think people really enjoyed it. I've seen a bunch of Instagram posts from people saying that, this is just a fun experience for obviously the MLW fans, but maybe the MLW fans that brought like a +1 or like a bunch of family members that were really big into the Cowboys stuff, but then also like watched the videos and then, became MLW fans because of that. So it was a cool like blend of people that like the Cowboys aspects, but also the MLW aspects.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Very cool. I want to touch on the actual series itself. And again, hats off to the Eagles. Unbelievable run, unbelievable season. I think we all had them winning our brackets, the 3 of us here. I think, you mentioned it before in game 1, that even the sentiment there in the crowd was that the Predators were the underdogs, and the Eagles took care of business. But I guess asking you, Kyle, the most seasoned veteran in MLW, what do you think? What do you think made the Eagles so special this year? And how do you think they compare to previous MLW champs?
Yeah, great question. And before I answer it,
thank you.
If you guys remember, I told you I had like a prediction that I didn't want to tell you guys, but it was Eagles in 4. And that was kind of generous too, but I really did not see a chance where the Preds would win the series because the Eagle 1 through 4 is just so deadly and there's not a weak link. That's really what it is. Pair that with Dallas Allen's filthy movement, always staying under 73 and being accurate. I mean, he never walks in any runs and he's nasty and he's good with the speed limit. I mean, no other pitcher I think has all of those 3 aspects to the point where Dallas has it. And great leadership, great moves, always leaving Dallas in there, not playing around when they're up 2-0 and putting somebody else in on the mound. They were just so determined and focused from the year prior. And my bold claim, Tom, I told you I had a bold claim, but I think
Kyle said he had a hot take.
I think this Eastern Eagle squad might be the best of all time.
Oh.
7-0 in the postseason, defeating the Diamondbacks and the Mallards and the Preds. 7-0 against those squads.
That is pretty impressive.
Unbelievable. I mean, I'm just very happy for them. Also, great defense, great base running. I mean, Daniel stretching a single to a run, which turns out to be the game-winning run in Game 3. Waylon had, I think, one error. It was a weird mishap, but he's usually really solid and right. Dallas had a top 10 play in Game 1, flipped to over
that was
the first.
Insane, that play.
I mean, you add up all these different things, and
Underrated.
it's like they don't have a weak spot in their game. So when you don't have a weak spot, I think you have a great case for one of the best teams ever.
Give me the 2017 Mallards all day. Give me the 2017 Birds.
I might make a post about this.
It's definitely like there's
comparing eras is weird.
No, yeah,
but in terms of talent and like just full on best teams that we've ever put out there on a single MLW team, like these 2024 Eastern Eagles, they might be it.
What was like their second half record?
Second half record. They lost the series. Did they play you in the second half? 2-1 there. They won that series.
Yeah.
And then they played the Preds in a throwaway series, which they lost it. So 3-3 in the back half. But that last series didn't mean anything.
7-0 when it mattered.
Exactly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
I don't think. No,
16
it's okay.
By the way, 16-6
we got the
overall.
remote lag going.
16-6.
Yeah.
I don't think that take is really contentious at all. I mean, we talk about how every single year the league gets more and more competitive, and this year we have been talking all season about how the NL was a little bit more talented than the AL, and the teams just from top to bottom were executing at a lot higher clip. They were just better. The Eagles just ran through them and then just ran through, the winner in the AL too. So I don't think that's really even that hot of a take. And to be honest, like I'm so happy for the Eagles that they were able to wipe the stench of blowing a 2-0 lead to us the year prior off. I mean, what a sports story, Mm-hmm. Talk about a 30 for 30 right there. I mean, just unbelievable that they were able to do that.
I think it might happen, guys.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it can't. I mean, it can't now. We need one now. I mean, it's like it's too poetic. You got to do it.
Pressure on the guy.
No, I'm not gonna. I already know the opening shot.
Oh, he's got it.
Yeah, he already knows it. Yeah, come on, he already knows it. I mean, they were just so like you said, like so locked in. I think watching the video, that was what was most apparent to me. And you mentioned the defense, and in such a close series. The Preds did have a few costly mistakes on defense where they just weren't that sharp. And I thought that we've also talked about these in-person series, how it can be pretty challenging to communicate and make a smart decision when, even though it's, 300-400 people, doesn't seem like it would be that loud. It is kind of loud down there, and it kind of rattles you when you're used to playing at the Meadows where there's no one cheering and talking. But you could just see, I mean, quick shout out to Dan again after that terrible play that he had in game 2, that viral TikTok reel of me dolphin sliding into home plate. He avenged himself
across the
yeah.
turf.
I mean, he avenged himself so greatly. Like he just looked so composed out there. Their whole team was connected from the opening pitch. So just like a phenomenal performance from the Eagles. I know Kyle, you got to obviously see it in person, but just watching the videos, it was so obvious how much more focused and determined the Eagles were. And, I think Alec mentioned that in his post-game interview too. But yeah, again, just hats off to the Eagles.
I'll even add on to this of how focused they were. I mean, we get there Friday night and all the Preds are kicking field goals, of running around. Even Saturday morning, Dan's like, don't wear yourself out. Don't kick any field goals. Don't throw the football around.
Unfinished business, man.
Even getting in, I have audio of this too in video, but in the locker room too, they're just like very focused, very business-like. Preds, I mean, they were having a great time. They're the best guys ever. They're truly enjoying the trip, but this was a business trip for the Eastern Eagles, and I am not exaggerating that. They really wanted to win this one.
Yeah, that was a good team. And I almost feel like Dan was really like the cherry on top for them, like really being that best team ever. Because, Dallas has been good, great for a couple of years now, like a top arm in the league, very good bat. And Landon's even been like a really, really great, like back half of the order guy compared to other people, even Zach. But Dan's turnaround this year was, I think, the real difference maker that like propelled them from great to excellent.
I think so.
I think that's the difference from last year.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just all the guys over exceeding expectations. I don't think anybody thought about Landon Urgitis in this way when he got drafted. Just the clutch hitting of him. Waylon's always going to be that glue guy. I mean, defense, hitting,
love a good glue guy,
putting the ball in play. he had like a really bad like opening streak, like 0 for 20 something to come into the series, but he always seems to put bat on ball. They had Blade Walker played a great role in getting him to this point too. Shout out to him and Carson for keeping up the vibes. But yeah, Dan was the head of the ship and steered it in the right direction.
For sure. Anything else from you, Jack, on the series?
I mean, I think we covered it. I think just top to bottom, the Eagles were the better team. I think it's almost rare in MLW for everyone to agree on who they think's going to win, and then that actually comes true. I feel like we're always surprised.
First time ever, I feel like.
Yeah. And I feel like this was the first time ever that most people, even going into the postseason, were high on the Eagles, and they just showed it, and they were right. So, not that it wasn't an exciting postseason. I thought it was very exciting, but again, just shout out to the Eagles for, as you said, taking care of business. And you could tell they were just all men on a mission, and they went down there and got the job done. So, really happy for those guys. Happy for Dan. Always great to see a veteran excel like that. It gives me hope for what I can do next year.
It gives the Brighton guys hope. All the Brighton guys.
Couple of them.
We got Waylon in there. Waylon and Dan. A couple of Brighton titles.
Yeah, that's true. Those are hard to come by.
Totally.
I was happy for him. Well-deserved, for sure. And we're going to hear from Dallas later in this episode, get some quick comments from him as well, just reflecting on what was very poetic. He made his local news.
Yes.
He goes to Dallas, to AT&T Stadium, the football team that his parents decided to ultimately name him after, and the influence that program and whatever had on their lives was enough to name their son Dallas, and then Dallas goes there and wins. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love that the emotion showed at the end there.
Yeah, I know. That surprised me. I mean, it's probably a lot.
Iconic clip.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
He did a good job, though.
You think any of the Predators player would have cried if they won?
Definitely not, dude.
I think Rudy would have been balling.
Maybe Warda, actually, but I think Warda teared up in 2019. But this one wouldn't be as special as 19. 19 was crazy.
Yeah, 19 was special. 19 will make anybody tear up. I think if you watch that 30 for 30.
I mean, that's another storyline of this that we didn't even touch on, is the fact that was another revenge. That was another revenge series for the Eagles. It was revenge in so many ways. It was from last year, and it was from 2019 getting swept, and they just did the exact same thing to the Preds.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
Good point.
2019 was the same vibe. The Preds seemed to control the narrative and vibe and just the entire season that year, 2019, and the Eagles had that same mission and executed in 2024.
And Dallas was drafted, 1 year later, 2 years later?
21, so 2 years later.
2 years later, and now he's a champ, beating the team that beat them.
That's right.
That is cool, and I feel like Dallas did a good job. Like, I'm not saying I'm an ugly crier, but I feel like if I cry, I can't really speak well.
Yeah.
He still talked pretty good.
I guess.
I
really analyzed his crying, but
good enough. I don't know. I was impressed he still got the words out, I guess. I don't know. Jack, did you notice that at all?
Oh, I think he did great. It's so tough. It's so tough to be in that position. And just the fact that he was that emotional should tell all of you listeners how much it actually meant to him. That says it all. So he didn't even really need to say much. Just the fact that he was, feeling that way shows how passionate he was, and makes it all that much more sweeter, I guess, from just a non-biased perspective watching. It's just sports, man. Sports are cool. This is another example. Sports are cool.
Sports are cool. It's our topic of this year, our theme.
I want to add too, obviously Dallas won the World Series MVP, but it was actually kind of a hard decision. I mean, Landon had that walk-off home run, had another RBI single, so honestly probably one of the best non-World Series MVP winning, you know what I mean, the second best performance, Landon Grigaitis. I mean, he very well could have won it. Dallas was just so dominant in the World Series, we had to give to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about, just complimenting Dallas and the Eagles was, it was also visible, and I'm sure it was even more evident being there, but the Predators, we've mentioned before, are a team that kind of rides on momentum, and when things are going their way, they tend to really go their way, and then vice versa. When it's not, sometimes they get a hard time, they have a hard time getting off the bus, and I think the frustration,
I love that.
The frustration that you saw from their leaders, Cratch and Warda, it just showed you how dominant Dallas really was pitching wise. I mean, I felt like every strikeout he had when they were looking was just him piping it up. And there were a few where Alec didn't need to say anything, but like his body language literally said there was no way I could even hit that ball if I wanted to. And he was striking me out, So when a guy's on like that, he's on and he's tough to beat. But it was pretty obvious from the start that it was going to be all Eagles.
They're a good squad, man. They're pesky. They're pesky, those Eagles. That's the word I always use to describe the Eagles.
They're pesky. My one thing for them is how much do they keep this level of focus up? How long do they do it?
True.
Are they going to come with the same level of focus next year now that they have their title? That's the challenge to them now. I don't know. I think they have it in them, but we'll see.
And it's a challenge in real sports, too.
Exactly.
Like you get that win, it's like...
How comfortable do you get?
Yeah, it's especially in like the NFL and stuff like that. Like you're growing up and like your goal is to get a Super Bowl. So when you get one, it's like, your motivation can never be the same. I mean, It can be, but it's never going to be chasing that first one.
Exactly.
It's different. So I'm sure like Dallas's whole, whether he likes it or not, I think his like subconscious will for sure change.
Yep. And forecasting for the Eagles too. Obviously, Blade's been kind of MIA this year. Word from Dan is they're gonna get a draft pick, so they're gonna have a new guy in the building. I know possibly Waylon's considering whether he wants to run it back at full strength next year. So and also Carson Urgitis is gonna have a big role next year from Daniel Schultz. That's what he said.
Carson's time to shine.
I'm very excited to see that. And
oh gosh,
just the Eagle bunch though. I'm just very happy to always be around and stuff.
Yeah, it's good crew for sure. We'll hear more from Dallas again later in this episode, and then we're hoping to have Daniel Schultz on next week. So we'll talk plenty of the Eagles and their championship run in these next few pods to come. But while we have Kyle, and we can get Kyle more in the offseason now too, so we can talk a lot. But
thanks.
I wanted to just ask you guys about the Christmas pod. It's coming up, man. It's always a good time.
You're gonna dress up as Santa again.
Oh, I already have good ideas. There was one night, I didn't tell you this, Kyle. What was going on? I don't know what was going on. I think I had a work thing or something, but I was like awake and couldn't sleep, and I just got like hyper focused on Christmas pod.
Yeah.
And I was like typing notes in my phone of all these ideas, like late at night, like lost a bunch of sleep, but at least something good came of it. So I have some fun ideas. But 2024, bringing it back. We talked about how a lot of the emotions are of like you're reflecting and you're kind of analyzing how things went. I'm sure you're still digesting it all, but I guess like what are the vibes right now? How you feeling about everything? Any highlights, lows you want to share? Just thinking back about the season these last few days, I'm sure, as you've been able to unwind a little bit.
Yeah, I think we again had another great draft class just to lead it off.
This was a good one.
Yeah.
There's some future stars, I think, in this one.
And I thought rookie there was going to be like a sure thing with Jeremy, but Levi made it interesting at the end. So I don't know there. But Ballman with my team and like everybody in the draft class, I thought really had a great season and enjoyed being there. But as the season went on, obviously the season was kind of defined by our traveling and going to Brooklyn, Miami, and Chicago, Vermont, and then the World Series. And we had, I think, 3 of the top 5 most attended MLW events, being Chicago, the Dallas World Series, and Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And they all gave something different. They were all super fun. From Miami to the Brooklyn, I mean, just all these different areas of the country that we've never been to Miami before, and like seeing all these different people from New York and Chicago area just was so fun. And I thought it was some of the best events we've ever done, obviously ending with Texas. But honestly, I thought I kind of paced myself with editing a lot better than years prior.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't feel like as like worn out as I have in the past. I feel like I
know. I was with you on Saturday. Like I'm going. You're like, I can still go. I was like, what?
Yeah. I do want to give a big shout out to Pat Ballman, who's editing this podcast currently.
Mm-hmm.
Helped me out a lot with obviously editing the video podcast, but also vertical short form clips. So he was huge in that department. You and Jack running the podcast was always smooth. But overall, the vibe I thought was like pretty chill and like smooth running this year. Like there's never any events where in the past where like we're kind of like really stressed into like the final week to like get it approved, and like we had one event be canceled one time, and like we didn't have any like doomsday scenarios this year, like in terms of events and at here on Meadows where we play. So
that's good.
Yes. I don't take any of that for granted, and I thought it was like a pretty smooth season.
Sounds like all good news to me.
Yes, but with that being said, I think there's many ways we can improve in multiple avenues. So ticket sales, views on YouTube, everything.
Okay. Anything from you, Jack, Mr. Virtual?
Well, it doesn't sound like there was much, but my question was going to be, although it's not necessarily fun to talk about, I think it's a helpful exercise to just discuss maybe not some of the highlights, but the lowlights of this season. If there was anything maybe as a commissioner or even as a player manager for you, Kyle, what was something maybe that happened that we know we can improve on?
Well, I think when the postseason came around, every single one of them was a sweep. Now I know I can't control that.
Was everyone a sweep this year?
Everyone was a sweep.
Wow. I actually didn't realize that till just now.
But I think entertainment-wise, there's some things I got to look at in terms of, viewers tuning in. How exciting is it going to be for every single video? I'm really contemplating rule tweaks to make it as fun for the players, but also as fun for the audience. In different areas of the game. So I just want to make it as exciting as possible video-wise and playing-wise. So there might be some things I'm looking at heading into 2025, but I'll just leave it at that because
stay tuned.
Is there wait? Is there anything that the loyal Pipe It Up podcast listeners could be privileged to on a potential rule change? Any more you're willing to give us? If not, it's fine. But I gotta ask for the listeners.
I already made a post about this, but eliminating a Grant Miller or Jordan Robles or a Cratch from a game is just nobody wants to see that. So it's a situation that I'm really taking seriously because in wiffle ball in a 3-inning game with 4-man lineup, every single player means a lot, and when you eliminate one of them, how far does that go? So that's a huge thing I'm looking at. Also tournaments, which we didn't even tap into because this is more of just MLW this season. But our tournaments went really well. It was actually the best turnout for our tournament circuit ever in a single year.
That's sick. Round of applause.
I know. Yeah, round of applause for that. So Midwest Slugfest, Wiffle in the Mitten, and Long Island Whiffs. And we usually have the Texas Rumble, but sneak peek, that's where something's in the works.
Okay.
My hat might kind of give away where it's going to be. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah, biggest turnout. But there's also might be a tweak coming with our tournaments too to make them as best as possible.
That's sweet. Kyle, as a commissioner who likes to quickly analyze things that are maybe a problem, like mention the walk thing.
Yeah.
Should Roger Goodell ban the tush push? What are your thoughts?
Probably not. Why would he ban it?
I'm just asking. People are calling for it to be banned. Jack? What do you think about the tush push?
Yeah, I'll say if you want the tush push banned, then you're not good enough at coaching to stop.
Yeah, how about you don't let him
push.
get in 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 situations as often? How about that?
Yeah,
that's all we need.
But I would if we were going back to MLW. I'm interested to see kind of what we end up on. But as far as like the rule that you mentioned, I kind of feel the same way. Like I like the strategy piece. I know it might not be as exciting for the fans to see someone just get walked the whole series, but I do appreciate, not having been like a baseball person. Like I didn't play baseball. I do really appreciate the strategy behind baseball and wiffle ball. So I don't think you could go wrong either way, but I would compare that same answer to what I said with the tush push is like, if you don't like it, like you got to find a way to beat it kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. So that kind of contradicts itself.
Yeah. But in just kind of more general discussion, I'm always looking for little sparks that can reignite a love of the game for our players that have been playing over 10, 12, 15 years. I look at a show like Survivor where they implement a twist or a new thing like every single season. They've been around for like 45 seasons. So they can't run it back every single time and do the same exact thing and keep it bland. That's one thing I look to never do is have MLW be bland. And I felt like at times there was some videos and some just situations where like it's been a little too repetitive, and I feel like a twist is not a twist, but something might need to be tweaked.
Who has Immunity Idol this week, Kyle?
To keep it as exciting as possible and ignite this new love for playing for the MLW guys that have been doing it for so long. So I'll just say that.
Yeah, I like that.
No, I think it makes sense. Yeah. I mean, you see every league doing that. Like the NFL changed the kickoff rule. I mean, they made
that's a great change.
more exciting when we actually see the kickoffs. So it's like they're constantly reevaluating. I think all good sports leagues are. So
for sure, I think from a player's perspective, it was a cool year. It was different for me too, like being just more of a player this year.
Yeah.
Like I felt like the Miami series was, even though I didn't play very good, that was kind of the start of the end for me. But it was like kind of cool to just like be there and play, and it was different. It was different because I was more focused about playing, and just like seeing the Mallard logo on the board and like wearing the jersey. It's like, dang, like this is pretty sweet. We're here to play like a game in a pro stadium.
Yeah.
Crowd. Like it was just, I don't know. I thought there was, I got a different like perspective on it this year, and I just thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so. I guess another pro and a con. Pro, we've been really a well-oiled machine in traveling.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a lot of hiccups, and we know how to set up and take down and work with different teams and different leagues of all different types of varieties. So I think we're really becoming good in that department, and all the guys are really good in buying into and being like punctual, for the most part.
Yeah, easy. That's loosely used.
A con, but it's not really a con, but it's more so like you said, it was different. But just like not having you there alongside me and having Norp there.
James B.
Who I thought did a good job. If you guys watched the final like 2 minutes of the video in game 3. But Jim, he was a really good pregame analyst, took over camera work. There's a lot of improvement for both him and Kratch, who also helped me with just like various activities throughout the entire year. But they were a huge help, and I have to shout them out. So Jimmy and Ryan, they kind of recreated you in the aggregate. Moneyball reference there, but
James could never be me, and I could never be James. He's one of a kind. One of a kind.
You know, I'm hoping to run it back with them at full steam next year and doing it even better.
Yeah, and shout out to PB.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I already gave him his flowers.
I gotta give him an extra shout out.
He's Pat's grinder right now. I was just texting with him, but a huge respect to Pat and everybody else that travels in for MLW. I mean, my goodness, there was some. Yeah. I guess that's like
Jeremy.
Those are some difficult times. Like when you have to like, you're traveling and then you're booking flights and then somebody's just randomly at your house staying the night, like a Robles or a Pishka or like Pat. But that's the fun of it. Like the chaos. I love the chaos. It's nice now for me to kind of like look back at it. But those are some chaotic times during the summer.
It is like it's the chaos is the chaos. But then there is beauty in the chaos when you look back at the chaos.
I know exactly.
That's what I always think. Like. Well, no, I talked about that with you. Maybe it was you, Kyle, but like weeks when I'm busy, it's like, God, I'm so busy. I'm so miserable. It's like chaos, like you're drowning in it. And then when you're not
being bored is
busy,
worse.
It's like, man, what am I doing? Like, I feel like I should have something to do right now.
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that like, I cannot be bored. I need to be doing something.
Yeah, it's because you program your brain over years and years and years of just grinding. And then all of a sudden your body like craves it. It's weird.
I know.
I'm for sure the same way.
Also, guys, I want to do a solo vacation, so give me some travel suggestions.
We heard this before though, and it didn't happen.
I know because last winter sucked, but I already have like a spot in mind.
Okay.
What do you think about San Diego?
I don't know anything about it. I've never been there. You been there, Jack?
I feel like I probably have. I have a lot of friends in San Diego. I don't know if I guess I've been kind of around San Diego.
I just need one long weekend. That's all I'm looking for.
Nice 4-day, maybe?
Maybe.
Nice 4-day week. I love a good 4-day weekend.
Late January, just the middle of winter.
A 4-day weekend's great because it creates short work week, fun, short work week. You can't beat the 4-day week. The 4-day weekend's it's undefeated always.
Also, I guess another thing too, but off-season videos, like
I was going to ask about that.
We have the mainstay ones too, but you know, I'm obviously contemplating 30 for 30. Haven't greenlit it yet, but it's definitely
lights yellow.
The lights yellow. But I'm also thinking about like a pitching tutorial 3.0.
Oh man, those are classics.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that. But if you have any other video ideas for the off season, let me know.
Sweet. So if the Eagles get a 30 for 30, does that mean the Magic are going to be the only team that didn't get a 30 for 30? Because didn't you just skip 1 year and now you're going to do one for the Eagles?
No, because
the 2022 season didn't really get one.
Okay,
but that's because we highlighted the Diamondbacks the year before when they won the World Series.
Right, that makes sense.
But hey, Jack, I mean, there's no time limit on when I can make these docs, so your story could still be brewing.
No, the Magic 2023 run is going to be kind of like a fine wine. It just gets better with age. So
Right.
people
They
look
just made
back
The
on
Last
it.
Dance like 20 years after MJ retired. So there you go.
Yeah,
That's
the story's
facts.
not all the way told yet, man. You got to keep writing.
Factual.
Just don't forget your ins and outs of that season for me. So when I
Yeah.
interview you in 20 years, you're gonna have something for me.
Man,
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget. I'll be ready whenever you're ready.
All right, Kyle. Well, we are wrapping up a little bit here, short on time to be respectful to PB, who's the man. Any final things you want to comment on we didn't mention already? I know Jack also had a question, I think. You had one more question, Jack?
Let me hear it, Jack.
I did. What do you think was the biggest surprise of 2024?
Ooh, good question.
Biggest surprise.
The downfall of Tommy Coughlin offensively.
It's a good question, Jack. Put me on the spot.
Thank you.
Tom,
Great job.
filibuster.
I'm trying to think of my biggest surprise. Honestly, my lack of results was a surprise to me.
Oh, I do have one.
Oh, nice. What do you got?
Our photographer showed out this season. He showed up to like every single series except for one. And it's hard to like bank on somebody being that available, especially as a photographer as talented as Ryan. And I'm all in on this guy, dude. He is so good. He's
All in.
always in the best spot, like always taking the best photos, always giving me so many different options. So I'd say that's a very pleasant surprise.
That's a great surprise.
I'll give you one bad surprise.
Shout out Ryan.
We had a wait, what'd you say?
Just shout out to Ryan.
Oh yeah, shout out to Ryan.
I said shout out Ryan. I've actually also used Ryan to shoot photography for our lacrosse club that I've mentioned a couple
that worked
times
out?
on this
Nice.
podcast.
Yeah.
That worked out for you, Jack?
he's come out a couple times for us. A lot of our socials are pictures from Ryan and stuff on our
That's sweet.
website too.
I didn't know that.
That's
awesome.
Shout out to Ethan Weiner too, videographer that we bring out to the big series too. But that wasn't that much of a surprise. He's well renowned in the wiffle space of filming and that kind of thing. But we didn't know Ryan until last year, and he was kind of here and there until the later part of the season where he really started coming out. But this year he was there like every time. Which brings me to my next point. I want to do like an Unsung Heroes IG series. So look out for that on Instagram this off season. Other things though, I'm already planning for special summer stadiums events next year, and I'm thinking outside the box. I'm thinking types of places we've never been before, and I'm so excited already.
Sweet.
I know.
That's awesome. You know me, I like to give advice to the youth of America here that listens to the Pipe It Up podcast, but the Ryan story is good, I think, for two reasons. Number one, like from Ryan's perspective, he just like came to one of our events and brought his camera and was doing his thing, which I think is a cool thing to do.
That's how you get
Like
places.
you get noticed sometimes, but then also from like an administrative standpoint, all I did was like cold approach the guy. I saw him with the camera.
Yeah.
So I just went up and introduced myself. So I think there's a lesson to be learned on both sides of that.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in that. And he just started showing up at all these series, taking high quality photos.
He saved us. The 2023 All-Star game,
Yes.
we had a cancellation the day before.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And then I remembered that I talked to that guy.
Yeah.
And I was able to, I think, I either got his email or his Instagram from him.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. He's clutch.
And then like I found it was a Hail Mary, but I got his Instagram from him, and then I just sent him his Instagram had an email tied to it. So I DM'd the Instagram and emailed the thing.
Yeah.
And like 2 hours later, he's like, yeah, I can be there tomorrow. I was like, no way, let's go. It was so clutch. Because there's one less thing to stress about.
Oh, I didn't say my bad surprise though.
Oh, bad surprise.
So coming back from the Long Island Whiffs tournament, we just had a flight canceled like out of nowhere. It was right after the tournament. We were chilling in Central Park when we got this news. So we had this chaotic day of calling like every airline trying to figure out when we're going to get back to Michigan. We actually just drove back in our rental cars. That was a long night.
That's brutal.
I want you to ask Cratch about when he gets on this pod next, because he had to drive the last 3 hours of that trip at like 3 a.m. So
for his dad, or
all
was he
of
by
us.
himself?
It was all 7 of us in one big van.
Like, so he subbed in for your dad, or what happened?
Yeah, and Greg was in there too.
Okay, so it was rotations.
And there was also Dallas and Ryan's girlfriend and like me in the back. It felt like a big family road trip.
That had to have been brutal.
But it was just
I'm telling you, I know I would have.
no, but it was funny. Like we were scrambling in Central Park. It was like the most New York story ever. It felt like Home Alone or something. Like we're trying to figure out how we're gonna get back to Michigan after we just did this wiffle ball tournament. Flights canceled. We had a series like the next 2 days or something. I had to make a video. This is happening on like a Monday.
Yeah,
So already
brutal.
I'm a day behind editing.
Yeah.
So that was the worst surprise. There you go, Jack.
I'm telling you, I know myself, and I would have put on a smile and gotten through it, but I would have been down so bad. If I was on that trip, I would have been down in the trenches for sure.
I'll tell you what, Tom, we had some fun in that car on the way back, though. We played some fun games.
Did you?
Played that one game where it's like we say a word, and we try to meet ourselves in the middle.
I'm not. That game.
Want to run it back?
Did we do that Waffle House during? Is that what we did?
I think we might have.
Let's run one.
Yeah,
right
we
now,
did. We did good.
How about you and Jack? I know it's gonna be off.
It's gonna be too laggy. You got me and you.
All right,
it's gonna be too lag.
This will be easy.
Okay, I got one. Ready?
3, 2, 1.
Sync.
Podcast and sync. Why'd you go sync?
I looked at the sync in there.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Drip.
Basement. Basement and drip.
Okay, I got one.
Oh boy.
Basement and drip. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Shower.
Oh.
Shower and flood. Okay, we got it now.
3, 2, 1. Water. All right. 4
there you
tries.
go.
That's not the best.
Go play that at home.
Fun times. We'll play with Jack next time he's in the studio.
We did that in the car for like 12 hours.
I think we got it. I think we got it on like 3 on the Waffle House.
The Waffle House. I don't even remember what we did, but I think we did too. I think we did a little bit better than this performance.
I know we ate a lot of waffles. That's all. That's about it. That's about all I remember.
We really tried, Jack. We really tried, didn't we?
We tried our best. We did.
That was a big highlight of the year also, that you guys had like that running thing. Not running
Not a highlight
joke.
for me. I can't look at I don't even want to think about eating. I haven't had syrup since then.
No, but
Not
that's
kidding.
big though. You
No.
guys, like, you have to do that next year. Just have something at the end of it that you're always not looking forward to.
Have you had a waffle or any breakfast item like
No.
that since that, Jack? Because I have not. And I have no taste for
No,
it still.
not even close. I think the closest thing I've come to that would be like oatmeal. That's about it.
Even just the smell of the Waffle House makes me sick to think about.
Yeah.
I could go for a half hour.
How long were you on that 5th waffle for again?
I don't know. Way too long.
Like
Hours.
It was horrible. It's
4 hours?
I felt things in my body that I haven't felt in my entire life.
Talk about stats that don't seem real.
That
graph.
made me feel ways I have never felt in my life, and I'm not joking. It's not for camera. It's not for comedy. It was 100%. I've had an experience that I never have, and I hope I never have again.
Do you know what the punishment's going to be next year yet?
No, we'll think about that in the off season. But real quick, Kyle, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We got to run it back sometime soon, I think.
I love reflecting on the year. There's probably some things I failed to mention here, which I'll listen back and want to say next time. So
If we get Dan on next week, would you want to be in maybe?
for sure.
For sure.
I want to be on as
You
often
gotta
as possible
get
now that I
on-
have the time.
Get on Dan to come on the pod. For sure.
It's a holiday, so I don't think he has an excuse.
Well, but sometimes you got busy days before the holiday break.
We'll get him.
We'll try to get him. But
We'll get him.
all right, well, let's wrap this one up. This portion, anyways, we're gonna hear from Dallas again in just a moment. That we're gonna record that tomorrow, Tuesday. Right now, it's Monday, and TBD on whether or not we'll have Jack. It will most likely be me, in off-site, not in studio, interviewing Dallas one-on-one, getting his thoughts on the championship. So that should be a good little conclusion to this week's episode. So let's jump to that segment right now. All right. On to part 2 now. We have Dallas Allen in the house. I am back in the office. And your 2024 World Series MVP is joining us now. Dallas, how are you feeling, my man?
I mean, it's been a minute since we played the World Series, but this Monday,
It hasn't been
Kyle
too
was
long,
you
like
guys,
2 weeks.
well, I know, but it feels like it's been so long just because just the whole team was waiting for these videos to come out. So once Kyle said we were allowed to like post pictures, so this one will be recorded Wednesday. So 2 days ago on Monday, it was just sigh of relief. We could just finally like tell a lot of people that we finally won the World Series and to go check it out on YouTube and stuff like that. But it's been fun. I've got a lot of DMs from fans and even my parents' friends telling me congrats. So
That's pretty sweet. I'm sure your dad was happy you won, but sad he wasn't there to witness it in person.
yes, he was very. He obviously he didn't care. I mean, obviously he wanted to be there, but the most important thing to him was that we won the World Series. So
That's good. How quickly did you call him after it was over?
well,
I'm sure your mom was texting him during, but
I think my mom called him right after we won, and then I kind of waited because there was like the meet and greet after the games, and we were taking pictures and stuff. So I think I kind of waited until we kind of chilled out and went back to the hotel. But obviously he was ecstatic, and I also had to wait for his tournament to be done because
Okay.
he couldn't talk either. So it kind of worked out in the end.
Yeah, that's sweet. I mean, you were, first of all, you played great. I mean, I could sit here and rumble off, I'm sure, a number of statistics from your postseason. You were undefeated this postseason, which has never been done before. You did it single-handedly on the mound, which is unbelievable. In part one of this episode, Kyle was making the argument how there's a lot of supporting evidence to say that this Eagles team was one of the best, if not the best we've ever seen in MLW. But, I mean, numbers aside and records aside and what's on the stat sheet aside, just like walk me through the emotions that you were experiencing, I guess, post-game. You showed it a little bit, and I gave you some credit because you actually did a pretty good job of keeping it together. But just what was going through your mind there when you have the trophy in your hand and Kyle's got the microphone in your face and you're just thinking about the whole year, your journey, everything?
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, obviously my goal coming into MLW is to get my first World Series title and hopefully get many more, but it kind of just it really didn't feel real. I felt like I was dreaming, like I finally got to the end goal of one of my goals when I got to the league. So obviously you saw I was a little emotional at the end of that game, but it was just basically a sigh of relief just to get my first World Series title. It felt so good.
Yeah, I'm sure it still feels good.
Yeah, it still feels great.
I mean, Jack and I were debating, or maybe it was Kyle and I, about how does it change your perspective, like thinking about next year, knowing it'll never be the same, like you're never chasing that same first title ever again? I guess, I don't know, like have you thought about that at all yet?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I haven't really thought about that much, but I guess I do see what you're saying. Like, I'm not really, like you said, I'm not going after that first title, but I definitely want to. Obviously, I want to try and repeat. So, and obviously now we're the team everybody's looking out for because we're coming off that title, and obviously, like last year, the Magic were the team we were looking out for, and we went and took care of business this year on them. So I know a lot of teams are going to be trying to do the same thing against us next year.
Yeah. I'm assuming because of last year's experience, you like the mindset going into game 3 was much different. It had to have been.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And what's crazy is like last year we took the break after game 3. So
Mhm.
after they, but this year like the food arrived. I think somebody mentioned on the podcast maybe last week, maybe game 1. I think
Yeah.
Landon might have mentioned it. But so we took the break, and I was like, "Can we just get out there and play this game?" Because I just want to. Because I was so confident, like going into game 3, I was like, I do not want to sit here and stall my arm out. Like I just want to go.
Uh-huh.
I just want to get this game.
How long was the break?
Oh, maybe like 40 minutes.
Okay.
Like it was longer than I thought it was gonna be. I was like, Kyle, how long are we starting? Can we get like a 10-minute warning?
Did you feel any different in game 3, or were you able to settle in pretty quickly again?
It's actually funny because I actually like the game 3 ball better than the game 1 ball. Obviously, Kyle can't get every ball the same, but I did like both of them. For some reason, the game 3 ball, my slide drop was just darting left on righties. So that was a very effective pitch for me in game 3. So yeah, I felt like I had better command in game 3.
Were you able to practice at all leading up to this, or not too much just because of the weather outside and stuff like that? Because I know between the NLCS and the World Series was about, a month and a half or so.
Yeah, so I played in 2 fast pitch tournaments in the middle of that. So obviously that's not MLW style. That's not the 72 miles an hour. But I was able to get out a couple times and just kind of. I have my own pocket radar, so that helps me a little bit. So I
Oh,
can
that
kind
is
of dial
huge.
as much as possible. But it's all about it's kind of more about the fingers rather than your arm, because obviously you have to slow down your arm motion to get that 72 and get that repetition. So yeah, I was able to get out there a little bit.
I would like to think that definitely helped you, and I'm curious. I bet Ryan couldn't as much just because he has baseball going on. He's, out at school, so it's probably a pretty big benefit for you. I mean, Ryan didn't pitch bad. Your guys' offense is great. It just took a couple runs, And I mean, you kept him at essentially 0 the entire series outside of the Levi homer. So
Don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it. Hey, it made for an exciting game. Game 2 was electric.
Yeah, it did.
And
Yeah,
you
for
won,
sure.
so you can't be
I
too
was
upset.
happy for Levi. Dude, Levi came up to me after he hit the home run the next inning. He was like, Dallas, if I bat flip near you, I'm sorry. I was like, dude, I do not care.
Yeah, Levi's he's quite aggressive with the bat flips, but that's all right. Everyone's got their own
Also,
style.
it's the Preds.
It's the Preds.
They all just flip that bat as high as possible.
They really do. You're right about that. I think Cratch has had some influence on it. Drew, we've influenced the youth in the bad way, not in a bad way, just in a way that I wouldn't do it. I like a good bat flip, but I would call that a bat throw, a bat launch. I'm not one to quite do that myself. But let's talk about your teammates a little bit. You got a great core. You got Dan, who drafted you. Then you met Landon a year later, Carson as well as Zach, who you played with since the beginning. Just what sort of bond have you formed with these guys over the years, going through a lot of lows, a tough loss last year, and then finally, reaching the mountain's peak this year in 2024?
Yeah, I love those 4 boys next to me that we got the job done with. And it makes it so much more fun, especially going on trips with that you can just bond with every single guy. Like, you can talk to any guy on the team and just you could say whatever. Like, we were talking about the dumbest things in the hotel room the day before, the day after. We were up way. I'm not gonna say this, but we were up way too late the night before. Like,
us too at the Philly series, I remember.
Landon got us stuck on this game called Coffee Golf on our phones, and I swear to God, we were playing till like 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it was bad, but that's the thing. Like, we have so much fun with each other. So I love those boys.
Yeah, did you expect that coming into MLW, knowing nobody? Like, are you surprised at the friendships you've been able to make in these last 5 seasons or 4 seasons? How many seasons? 4 seasons or 5 seasons for you?
This was my 4th season, so next year will be my. Okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously, it was nice to come in the league with Blade at the time because we both been playing baseball, and then we were gonna be on the same team. So, and then obviously I got to know Dan's boys, Neil, Clayton, Zach, all those guys. So that was nice. And then you kind of realize once you go on those tournament trips with all the MLW guys, you really form friendships with them. Like, I talked to Jonah, Jimmy, Casey Bennett. I talked to Jordan Robles outside. I talked to all of the MLW guys, even outside of football. So that's the great thing about MLW.
Yeah, it's a brotherhood. It's turned into a little fraternity for sure. It's been a pleasure to have you. But this is kind of a deep question, I guess, but I thought it was an appropriate time to ask. But what do you think these last 4 years coming into MLW, young, you were 16 at the time. No, you're probably 15 at the time, weren't you?
I would have been 15 turning 16.
Yeah, so going from that age, that time in your life, to now present day, going through your highs and lows in MLW, the highs and lows of life. What do you think the MLW journey has kind of taught you that you could apply to other aspects of your life moving forward?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. Because there's definitely especially with what I want to say with all sports, every sport teaches you something different. Because I played baseball, bowling, and golf, and I mean maybe not something different, but the biggest thing from football is I would say is if you have a bad moment, you can't let it affect you. And I guess you could apply that to work style. Say you're doing something in work and you can't get it the first time, you can't give up because then you're never going to get to that end goal, that end result. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep learning. That's the biggest thing. Whenever I go on the football field, whenever I'm a college bowler now, whenever I'm doing my activity, I'm trying to learn something every single time I'm out there. Because if you're not learning anything, you can't get better. So that would be my one thing. And that's my biggest thing I've probably learned is you have to learn something every single time you step out onto the field, on the bowling alley, whatever it is.
I actually wanted to ask you about that because the last I chatted with you, over the last couple of years, it sounded like you were not going to go the college route and you're going to go maybe to trade school. And then I saw you posted that now you're bowling for, I think, Lord's University. So what happened? What transpired to make that work?
Okay. So I started my my job, my dad had a couple of friends that got me into it. I did it for like, oh man, probably a month or so, and I was doing it for a little bit,
What was the
and
job?
I was thinking, I was just basically like a helper out around like the warehouse. It was a sheet metal company. That was like it was just a sheet metal working company. So I was basically just helping around the warehouse, and I did it for about a month, and thought to myself, "Am I really gonna do this for 30 more years?" Like it really just wasn't my thing, and I didn't want to keep pursuing something that I felt like wasn't gonna be fun for me. Even if the pay was good, I didn't think to myself that it was going to be worth it to do the rest of my life. So I kind of sat down and weighed out my options, and I my dad is a coach at Lords. Obviously, he was at that tournament when we were in the World Series, so he can help me out with tuition with him being a coach there, and I can also get scholarship money other ways. So it was a good financial decision for sure. I don't have to pay for too much college, and also I know a couple guys in the Lord's bowling team, so I can bond with them and we can have a good time in tournaments. So,
Sweet. So did you enroll in school late, or did you enroll on, like, have you already started classes?
so no, I will start in the spring semester. So I will start on January 13th.
Nice. All right.
And then I'll also be able to bowl in tournaments at the ending of this season.
That's awesome. So right now you're just practicing and stuff.
Yeah, I can just practice. I can't go to like matches or tournaments or anything, but I can practice with the guys.
That's sweet. Do you have any idea yet what you want to study, or not quite yet? That's a big question.
I am studying education.
Education. All right. What made
Yeah.
you want to go that route? Ryan
I like
Cratch?
kids. No, not Ryan Cratch, but no, I like kids, and I'm also a my life is crazy. I'm also a high school bowling coach right now,
Nice.
so I do like to be around kids, and right now I do want to be a phys ed teacher. So that's right now what I want to do, and hopefully it works out, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, you're very young. You got a lot of time to figure that out. But I
For
think I
sure.
could see you, phys ed teacher, like coach combo, coach the bowling squad, maybe coach the baseball squad, golf squad.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that'd be pretty sweet.
I think what I would want to get to at a point was I would want to be a phys ed teacher and then be a head high school baseball coach.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be what I want to do at some point in my life.
Awesome. That's great. Well, Jack, myself, Kyle, we were all happy for you guys and the Eagles. It was a long time coming. You guys have been right there for the last several years, and the National League was so competitive. And for you to sweep your way through that and then sweep the Preds, like Kyle mentioned, like you went Mallards, Diamondbacks, Preds, sweep, sweep, sweep. Like it doesn't get any tougher than that, and you all made it look so
Yeah.
easy. I mean, you never really even wavered. Did you expect to cruise? I don't want to say cruise, but I mean, 7-0 is 7-0. Were you expecting that coming into this postseason?
I mean, no, I mean, obviously my expectation when I come to the Meadows is I'm not going to lose a game, but obviously you got to be realistic in MLW. Like these guys are so good. Guys come from all different places to come play in one wiffle ball league, so everybody's going to be good. But it's kind of tough to say because I do whenever I step out on a wiffle ball, I want to think I'm the best player on the field and that I can help my guys out on the mound and my guys behind me can hit. But I mean I didn't think we were gonna go 7-0, but you never know which way the ball is gonna fall on any given day. So
Mm-hmm. Is it safe to say that this postseason run has been your favorite wiffle ball memory of your 4-year career?
my old number one memory finally got surpassed after this year was the 2020 Wiffle in the Min 6-0 tournament championship that finally got surpassed
I got surpassed. I think this is well deserving of that number one spot, I'd say.
for sure.
Cool. Well, let's get into the comment of the week. Dallas, I wanted you to hear this. It says, "No lie, I teared up seeing the end of the game. I've been a fan of MLW since 2017, and after losing the World Series then and blowing a 2-0 lead last year, all this feels vindicated, and hearing Kyle announce us as champs hit me right in my heart. I'm also 22 years old and love how invested y'all have made me. cheers for the season, and thank you, Kyle, and the rest of MLW. Well said. Thank you for the comment. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, I remember, Dallas, like meeting you at the first tournament you played in. You were wearing red with your team, and I think you lost to the eventual champs in that one. But I remember like interviewing you and meeting you and talking about how, you know, me and Kyle thought you'd be a good fit. I remember DMing you like, thank you for carrying yourself so well at these tournaments for the other kids that were watching your championship games and stuff like that. So it's cool to see a full circle moment with you getting the title. I'm jealous it wasn't me, but well deserved. Yeah. Well deserved for sure. I'm sure it feels like very validating.
Yeah, I thought you were about to make the comment of the week, something about the Cowboys, because you always seem to bash the Cowboys.
I'm a Lions fan. We're Lions fans, and we have to.
I know, you don't have to do anything. Nah, I don't want to talk about it.
You don't have
My
to.
football teams are terrible this year. I'm a Cowboys and a Michigan fan. Like, it can't get any worse.
You've got 3 more wins in Cowboy Stadium this fall than the Dallas Cowboys do.
And I play on the Eagles. Like, that's like, it can't get any more ironic. Like,
yeah. Well, that's unfortunate for you, but let me have my fun, Dallas. Come on, let me have my fun. You can have your fun later.
Hey, by the way, Tom, this podcast, when it comes on a Wednesday, I'm calling it right now. The Lions will make the Super Bowl this season, but they will lose to the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. That's my prediction right now after Week 10.
It's a fair prediction.
Wait, is it
Week 11, I think, but 10 games in.
Yeah.
We play the Bills at Ford Field December 14th or 15th, I think. So we'll see how it goes. But if we're on this topic, before we wrap up this podcast, I will say that I don't fear anyone in the NFC. I think a worthy opponent of the Lions is both the Bills and the Ravens. Those 2 teams, I think, could give us fits. Chiefs are the Chiefs.
Patty Mahomes don't scare you?
I mean, he does. Doesn't scare me, but I just think those 2 squads are tricky. So we'll see. But it's been fun. I'm enjoying watching football, and yeah. So
I think the only teams in the NFC that can compete with you guys would be the Eagles.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And I mean anybody in your division, because your division's other than the Bears, Packers and Vikings are always. Bro, they're in your division, Tom. It's a division rival, and you beat the Vikings.
No, I'm saying yes, but the Bears no.
Right. No, the Bears.
I also wouldn't be surprised if somehow, some way, the Bears beat us on Thanksgiving, but that's another story. And I've already made a claim that if we lose to the Bears on Thanksgiving, I'm not eating any food. I'm just gonna go home for my dinner. But anyways, appreciate you coming on the show, Dallas. Thank you for being part 2 of this episode. We wanted to get you on, of course, for the main conversation, but schedules are tricky. So everyone, say thank you to Dallas in the comment section for joining us here on a tight schedule. I think he has practice here in about a half hour. So, and shout out to PB too for putting PB on an editing crunch to get this thing done. So, thank you to everybody for tuning in all season long. We're going to keep this thing going in the off season, of course. But Dallas, thank you very much for joining us. I just dropped my chapstick. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll catch up with you in the next several weeks. Is that cool?
Absolutely. Sounds good.
If you ever want to come on, just let us know. You're always welcome. But that's a wrap on this week's podcast, everyone. Thanks again to Kyle, Jack, Dallas, all of you tuning in. Dallas Allen's dad is now coaching his son as a college bowler. We will see you all next week.